Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to tell you guys about what items you should be keeping while you are progressing. So I've been asked this a bunch of times on my stream before. People aren't sure what's useful as they kill their daily bosses, as they do their dailies or their train. What should they keep? Everything from, equips or certain ETC items. So I wanted to make this video so that you guys can share it to any new players, or if you're a new player watching this, to show you what you should keep from your daily bosses and what daily bosses that you should be doing and why. I'm going to tell you why you should keep all these items as well, even if they might not have immediate usage as you're progressing. So if this type of video helps you out, make sure to subscribe and pull up to the Twitch channel because those things help me out a lot. And with that all being said, let's get right into it. So these are the daily bosses that I would recommend everyone does for a very long time, and I'll give you the reasons why. So Magnus, Crimson Queen, and Vellum, you're not necessarily doing them for the boss crystal for the mesos, you're doing them for the soul shards. Now the reason why you are trying to collect the Magnus, Queen, and Vellum soul shards is because these are considered double S tier souls. Now, I have a whole video on soul shards, but long story short, these soul shards can give you a chance at getting the highest tier type of soul that you can put on your weapon long term once you liberate your Genesis weapon. And if you don't know what that means, essentially, when you get the best weapon in the game, which is the liberated Genesis weapon, you are able to put a soul on it. And these three specific bosses, Magnus, Queen, and Vellum, not only are they daily bosses, so you have more chance to collect more souls of them, they're also double S tier, which is the highest rank of soul, so you can get the best stats from the soul. Now, the other double S tier souls are weekly bosses. Like, for example, as you can see, I have a bunch of souls here because I tried getting some of the good ones like Will and Lucid and Lotus and etc. Those are from the weekly bosses, so you'll slowly accumulate them just from clearing your weeklies. But it's important to do your daily bosses for these types of souls as well, because you're going to need a lot more souls than you think. So if possible, when you kill these three bosses, try to be in your drop gear setup if you have it, because it'll give you a higher chance of getting good souls. So we're going to do normal Magnus, kill him real quick, and you can see I got a couple soul shards. Same with Queen, kill normal Queen real quick, break her box, and I got a few soul shards. And then Vellum, kill normal Vellum, and I got a few soul shards again. So you should keep these three specific bosses' souls, their soul shards, because later down the line, much later down the line, once you liberate your Genesis weapon, you're going to thank yourself for having a lot of souls saved up, and you'll be able to get the 3% attack or 3% magic attack. That's really, really good to get on your weapon. The next thing that you're going to want to do daily and keep are the drops from Arkarium. So Arkarium has a few good drops that you can get. You could get Dominator pendants, which are super, super important, and I'll explain why in a second. And you can get Primal Essences, which are also very important. So after you kill Arkarium, I didn't get anything this time, but that's okay. You have a chance of getting those two items that I mentioned. Now, the reason why Dominator pendants are really important is because not only is it a really good item to have as a pendant in general. So like for training gear, I have one here. And even in my bossing setup, I have one here as well. So it's good for training gear and for bossing gear. And on top of that, because the item level is 140, you can use it to transfer stars to the superior pendant, which is item level 150. In this game, you could transfer stars from an item that is 10 levels below another item. So for example, this Dominator pendant, because it's level 140, I could transfer it to a superior item, particularly the pendant, because it's level 150. And the reason why that's so good is because the superior pendant is way harder to get copies of. So if you were to outright star force it and run the risk of booming it, it would be much harder to get it to higher stars. So what people do is they stockpile a bunch of Dominator pendants, they star force the Dominator pendant super high, and then transfer to the superior pendant. This way you can get a high star superior pendant and just wear it like how I am at 21. And then after a while, once you accumulate a bunch of more Gollux coins, you can tap its 22. But the only reason we're able to do this is because we had a bunch of Dominators left over. And then even further out than that, there's an item called Source of Suffering, which is a level 160 item. And if you remember what we said about transferring stars from items that are 10 levels below, because this is a level 160 item and the superior pendant is level 150, that means you could do a double transfer. You could transfer from the Dom pendant, which is level 140, to the superior pendant, which is level 150, and then to the Source of Suffering, which is level 160. So not only is the Dominator pendant really good to have for training gear and for damage gear itself. It's also used for transferring stars to superior pendant, and it's also used for double transferring to source of suffering. So it's very, very important to do Arkarium every day, and it's very, very important to stack as many dominator pendants as possible. And an extra pro tip on these is always safeguard these. Never star them outright. Even if you have like 20 of them, please just safeguard them. You'll thank me later. Don't be like this guy wasting his time making his own food. You gotta get back to getting gains on MapleStory. If you spend an hour a day making yourself food, you would be missing out on around 4.5 billion messes a week and like 200 fragments. That's why I partnered up with Factor to give you guys fresh, never frozen gourmet meals straight to your door. I've tried it out myself and the food is unironically good and takes only 2 minutes to be ready. My community loves it too. So stop being dumb and wasting all your messos and get Factor using my link below to get 50% off your first box and free shipping. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, and thank you Factor for sponsoring, and enjoy the rest of the video. So we're in Ardent Mill now, and the next item that I said you guys should keep from Arkarium are primal essences. So you can get these from killing Arkarium. You could kill Arkarium and as many characters as you want every day and try to get these, but the reason why they're so useful is because they allow you to craft Meister rings. So if you look at the Meister ring recipe, it says that it needs primal essences and a bunch of other stuff. These other things are also very important to keep. Twisted Time, mana crystals, you'll get so many of these over time. Philosopher's stones and grand spell essences. Most of these you get from training. This, and this, you get them from training. Primal essence, you get them from doing Arkarium. And Philosopher's stone, you get them from Disenchanting, which we'll talk about in a bit. But the whole point is you need these primal essences to craft Meister rings. Now, why are Meister rings useful? So Meister rings are pretty much the exact same as Dominator pendants, but rings. So you can craft the ring and you can use the ring itself for damage gear. But because it's level 140, you can also transfer it to Superior Ring, which is a level 150 item. So you can use the ring itself as damage gear. You can even use it as drop gear because you could craft another one. And then you could also use it to transfer to Superior Ring because Superior Ring is much harder to get copies of, whereas Meister Ring is a lot easier to get copies of. So it's very important to try and save the Meister Ring materials as much as you can because you're going to need a lot of Meister Rings. So we talked a bunch about Gollux, right? Like how you transfer gear to Gollux. The next thing that you should be doing every single day and saving the drops from is Gollux. But you don't save every single drop from Gollux. I'll tell you which ones to save. So first of all, the coins. The coins are the most important thing from Gollux. You want to stockpile as many of these as possible. And something that you got to understand about Gollux is Gollux should be seen in the same way that arcanes are seen. Like, yes, you can get lucky and get superiors to drop pretty early, like your belt and earring. But at the end of the day, to get full 22-star superiors, unironically, it can take just as long as getting full 22 arcanes or even longer. So they should be perceived as such. It's super, super strong gear. It takes a very, very long time to get all of the pieces because if you look at the shop here, it's 700 pieces to get the ring and the pendant. The earring and the belt always drop, so you don't buy them, but the ring and the pendant are the ones that you have to buy, and it's 700 coins each. You get like around 25 to 30 coins per run, so it's around 4 weeks of doing this daily just to get one of the pieces that you need. So this is a very important daily to do, and it has a bunch of different drops. So again, same with Gollux. Make sure, if possible, when you break the loot box in the end, because the drop gear increases the chances of getting something good from the loot. So we're just gonna kill Gollux real quick. So like I said, make sure you go to your drop gear setup if you have it, and you want to hit the thing in the middle for it to drop loot. So you can see a bunch of different stuff dropped, right? A bunch of different equips, but not all of them are useful. So if you see anything blue or green, you always want to make sure to pick up that item because that means it's either reinforced or superior. But always double check in your inventory. Anything that's not reinforced or superior, you can get rid of it. So for example, this reinforced Gollux earring, I can keep it because, like I was mentioning before, how you could transfer items that are 10 levels below. This is a level 140 item, and because the superior earrings are level 150, that means you can use a bunch of reinforced earrings to transfer stars to superior earring. And that's good because that means the reinforced earrings, they could just tank if anything booms, and you don't have to risk losing the much more coveted, much more rare superior item. Now, the last daily boss that you should be doing is Pink Bean that has good drops as well. So make sure you do normal pink bean every day, and it has a bunch of drops that are useful. So when you kill normal pink bean, you could get a belt, you could get a cup, and a bunch of other stuff. You get a rock of time. So the reason why the belt is good is because just like the reinforced belt, the belt is level 140, which means that you can use it to transfer to superior Gollux. So you're probably noticing a pattern here on why we are saving a lot of these items. You save a lot of these items because you can use them all to transfer to the superior Gollux set. The superior Gollux set is a very, very, very important set of gear in your progression and is what levels you up from being an early game player to mid to late game player, because the superior Gollux gear is very powerful, very strong set effect, and every single one of the items, the superior ring, the belt, the pendant, and the earring, they all have what's known as fodder items that you can use to transfer stars into them. So the ring, we talked about it. You can use a Meister ring to transfer to it. The belt, you can use the pink bean belt or reinforced Gollux belt to transfer into it. The superior Gollux pendant, you can use Dominator pendant or Daybreak pendant to transfer into it. And the superior Gollux earring, you can use reinforced Gollux earrings. So all of the quote-unquote fodder items, you want to try and keep them until all of your Golluxes are at 22. Now, the reason why you keep them until they're at 22 is because when you transfer the stars, you lose the potential. So, for example, this belt being at 1269 potential, because it's at 21, in theory, if I were to tap this item and it were to boom, then not only would it go down to 12, I would have to re-transfer stars on top of it, and I would lose my pot entirely. So, essentially, you're not done with the fodder until you're done with the Gollux item at 22. So, despite all of these being at 21, and it does give me a lot of damage, I'm still not done with these items, and I can't really drop all of these and get rid of them and open up space in my inventory because these are not at 22 yet. Now, the one that you should keep fodders for more than anything, even if the item is at 22, is the pendant. So even if this was at 22, you would still want to keep as many Dominator pendants as possible until your source of suffering in the far future is also at 22. Then you could say you could get rid of the Dominator pendants if you don't need them anymore. So you'll notice that I have a bunch of stuff in my inventory now that's not really that useful from doing my daily bosses, like some garbage Magnus gear and maybe some cracked Gollux gear, right? So instead of just dropping it, what you should be doing every single day is disenchanting it, because disenchanting the garbage gear will give you materials that you need as well. So if you want to disenchant something, you're going to need to have leveled any one of these professions. So the one that I recommend is leveling up accessory crafting. You can just use a bunch of rings and basic abrasives that you buy from this dude up here to level up your accessory crafting. You want to try and get it at the beginning to level 10 if possible. It's really easy. You could just make a bunch of rings and then you could get the materials for them either through this map on the bottom right or doing Threads of Fate. I have a professions guide which I can link below as well. But the reason why you want to level up your accessory crafting is because it'll allow you to disenchant stuff. So you'll notice that there's this icon here, this little gear icon. If you press it, you are able to right click a bunch of items, and when you right click them, they enter here. So you want to right click all the stuff that you don't need. So all the solid and random garbage gear that I don't want anymore. You right click it and then you press extract. And after you're done, you get a bunch of items: superior item crystal, philostone, and advanced item crystal. So if you remember, I mentioned philostones earlier. These items are all very, very useful, and you want to stockpile as many as possible. So these philostones could be used to craft the Meister rings that I mentioned earlier. So anytime your inventory fills up with gear that you don't need, make sure you disenchant it. Another thing that you can do that's really cool about pink bean cups in particular is you could do something called fusing. So if you're doing pink bean every day, you're going to have a bunch of pink holy cups stockpiling, and instead of just, you know, slowly checking the flame and going for a better one every single day, you can fuse them. And the reason why fusing is really good is because not only does it re-roll the flame for free, it also re-rolls it including tier 7 flame. So it's the same as using like a eternal rebirth flame for free every single day. And sometimes you could get lucky and get a pretty good flame. So if you want to fuse something, you're going to need some alchemist stones, which you can buy here. And then you can press this icon over here in the middle and put the items that you want to fuse. So you're going to want to make sure you have the alchemist stone. Make sure you have at least 4 and then press OK. And when you fuse them, the flame gets re-rolled. I didn't get anything good, unfortunately. But if you keep doing this every day, you might get something good eventually. So it's just a little bonus thing that can help your progression a little bit with the items that you have. Another thing that you could get from pink bean are black bean marks. So not only are these good for damage gear for a while. Like for example, I'm wearing this one at 20 stars. You can also use it for training gear. So it's just another really useful item that you could get from Pink Bean. But that's basically all the equips that you want to save that are filled in my inventory. Everything else is just items that you get from weeklies. Like for example, arcanes, you just get these from weekly bossing, and then you just stockpile as many as you can, and eventually you try to 22 them. Same with whatever pitch boss you might happen to get, or twilight marks, daybreaks. These are items you get from weeklies, and you can't really actively work on them every day. You just hope that you get them to drop every week. I'm actually cursed on berserks, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I have this one at 22, but this is the only thing that I keep getting to drop over and over again. All good though. So that's basically it for the equips. Those are the stuff that you want to save that you can actively get every single day. And for the use tab, it's mostly the souls that you want to save every single day if possible. And for the etc tab, honestly, this one is a lot more simple. Anything that's related to ardent mill crafting, you should probably keep it. I would recommend it. If you're running out of space here, you can go to the general store in Henny and you can buy slot expansion coupons. It's definitely worth doing, at least on your main, to open up your inventory more. But you can also buy production bag, mineral bag, and herb bag. Same with the soul bag as well. Same with the recipe bag. These bags are definitely worth buying so that you can free up more space in your inventory. Honestly, when it comes to these recipes, most of them are garbage. But what I always end up doing is, like, because I have the 40 slot bag, it gets rid of everything for me anyways. So like, I don't really have to worry about it. And because you keep doing weeklies every single week, a lot of these items you're just going to keep getting every week anyway. So even if you drop them, the next week you're just going to get them anyways. So I would just get the 40 slot bag and put everything in there, and then anything else, just drop it. The main things that you would want to keep from this are the wealth acquisition potion recipes. These are super important to keep. And same with EXP accumulation potion and Smekonkeep potion. These are very important to keep. These 3 recipes, always keep them as much as possible. Almost everything else you could just get rid of. It doesn't really matter that much. And then in your setup tab, honestly, you have like so many copies of these chairs if you keep doing them every week. You can get rid of them if you want, but honestly, I'm kind of lazy and I just let them stockpile until I need more space. So, but yeah, anyways, that's about it for this video. Wanted to make a video pretty quick about just what items to keep and what dailies to do, because if you start early and stockpile as many of these items as you can, it will definitely help you out later on. I know it seems like I have a lot of belts and it's like, what do you need all these belts for? Trust me, I've seen people boom like 50 belts straight up, or even more. That all being said though, if you enjoyed this video, I would greatly appreciate if you subscribed or maybe watch one of my other videos. You could pull up to the Twitch channel, ask me whatever you want live, come hang out and have fun too. And with that all being said, if you got to the end of the video, I want you to say the word octopus. I want you to say the word octopus. I don't know why I have this, but yeah, goodbye octopus. Anyways, have a wonderful day. Shout out to my members: Blazefire, Shooms, Shagad, Ravi Espa, Koga, Skittles, Dante Victory, CK, Jay, Kyle, Vampiric X, Fresh and Juicy, Assassin, Henzo, Henrique, and Kelvin. I appreciate you guys so much. And thank you everybody who submitted fan art. You can always submit it in the Discord and it'll be put at the end of every video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.